Oh, wow. We are live after a long time away.
I know. Y'all miss us? I hope y'all missed us.
Yes, we do. We miss you guys. Hopefully, some people tune in today because, I was busy and I didn't get a chance to post all the places. So we'll see if it shows up today.
All right.
So let me go ahead and do our intro. We'll get things kicked off and hopefully you guys will join us as we get going. Hey everyone, welcome to the recap of the Walking Dead universe. We are here live every week to discuss the latest episodes. You can catch our recaps at any time, available on most major podcast platforms. Get new and past episodes for free in the app of your choice, including here on YouTube. For those of you joining us live today, thanks for taking time out of your evening to be here. I am Tamara Ford, and I love a good TV show and a good book, of course. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at The Recap Pods. And if you're into books, you can also find me at Shelf Addiction. Joining me is show co-host Lisa. Welcome back, Lisa.
Hey, Tamara. Hey, everyone. My name is Lisa Orban. I am an author. I'm also the founder of Indies United Publishing House, and I love all things pop culture. So if you would like to connect with me online, you can find me pretty much everywhere at Lisa Orban Author.
Yes. So, if you are new here, before we get going, we just want to remind you that we would love your participation in this conversation. So, if you are listening live on YouTube or on Facebook, hit us up in the comments section. And if you are catching this on a replay, you can still comment on any platform by using the little comment section, or you can call us and leave a voicemail. So, those links are in the show notes. So, definitely let us know your thoughts on the episode. So, we are laid back in our review style, aren't we, Lisa?
Absolutely, Tamara. This is a conversation, not a dissertation.
Yes, no scene by scene breakdowns here. We jump around and huge spoiler alert. So if you are like new to the world, be prepared. We could talk about any show at any given moment,
That's right.
everything through today or yesterday.
Yeah. We don't go ahead. Tamara and I both have AMC Plus, so we could have watched the next episode, but we don't because, we want to stay current with, the non AMC Plus viewers.
Yeah, because we know a lot of people don't have that. So if you're cool with that, we're cool with you, and this is the place for you. So let's get started. So we are actually diving into the new show.
Mm-hmm.
Dun dun dun. Tales of the Walking Dead.
The anthology.
Yes. The anthology. So, what did you think? Did you like it?
I actually did. I thought it was, I mean, I thought they did a really good job of introducing us to the characters, we've never met before and making us like them. I felt invested in the characters by the end of the episode. Did you?
I did. I think it was surprisingly. So, episode 1 was about Evie and Joe, and I didn't think it was as dark as I was expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of had like this what is the word? Not like funny, but it was kind of quirky, I guess.
Yeah,
To
I would
me.
go with quirky. She was quirky, definitely.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I think one of the things I really enjoyed the most is, he's like, "Where did you learn this net?" "Oh, intensive macrame." "Where did you learn to do that?" "Oh, I took a class and in this, in Shimbawa or whatever it is, the Brazilian fighting style." And you could see that she has her whole life she had just been kind of collecting all these skills that before the end of the world meant nothing or didn't mean very much. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
but now at the end of the world, you know, these are all good skills. I mean, she's prepared. She knows how to survive. She was living organically. She knew how to defend herself. And the
Mhm.
fact that I guess it's the society we live in right now, if you can't turn a profit with it, then it's almost deemed useless. But in this situation, all those quote unquote useless skills were
Handy.
really useful.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Right. And it was and I think she was a really nice, reflection for him who had spent his whole life basically preparing for the end and had never lived a life.
No, which was sad.
It was
Like,
sad.
Yeah, so he was like this survivalist who really did a good job of preparing. I mean,
Yeah.
but to his own detriment, really. He only had his dog
Mhm.
who was
He didn't
killed.
have anybody close to him. He didn't
Yeah.
have a girlfriend. He didn't apparently he didn't have any family, or at least none that he was close to. And it was, the fact that, in this moment when in his darkest, he was doing really good when he had his dog.
Mhm.
But you could see that even before the dog was killed, he wasn't probably going to be around for a lot longer because getting older, had an accident, we all get old. It's okay. Gilligan.
Yeah.
And, but he had built this entire life for him and this dog. And that's all he had. And then, when loneliness, really overcame him, he decided to go in search of a woman that he'd only messaged.
Online, yeah. It's like they had a I guess in the early days they were all or just prior to they were survivalists and they met each other
Mhm.
trying to prep and stuff
Yeah,
online.
he was convincing her to get one of the underground bunkers.
Yeah, which was wild. Oh, let me just say, I did really appreciate the trip to Michigan. I'm like, oh my God, all the things. So, you guys, I live in Michigan. So I'm like, oh, he was able to sort out if she was at, you know, where she was at based on, she mentioned the Wolverines and she mentioned the
Mhm.
plants. I'm like, well, there are three Wolverine quote unquote U of M campuses, and he circled two of them on the map. I'm like, oh, he figured it out. This is the plants. I'm like, oh, so he figured out Flint. I was like really impressed with his whole like logic and figuring out where she
Yeah.
was.
And then, the fact, it was kind of serendipitous that he runs into her, to I can't remember the woman's name now. And she's like, "Oh, I've been here."
Yeah,
You know,
Evie's like, I know this place, and she
this is
actually
like
knows.
20 minutes from where my boyfriend's or my husband's cabin
Yeah,
is.
she even knows the area from
Yeah.
reading the things, and she's like, I know this donut shop.
Mhm.
I know where that is. I'm like, the irony of it all
Yeah.
is really cool.
Okay, but I am gonna say, and she was talking, she didn't find, her ex-husband. But she did find her painting, and you can see that there's a lot of relief,
Yeah,
loved. She was loved.
yeah.
Even when he left, he still didn't hate her. Um, but I was wondering when he goes down in the bunker with the crazy lady,
Oh, speaking of this, look, this crazy lady's makeup, her crazy looking face. I'm like, she got like this doll make, like a
I
bad doll
know.
makeup. Yeah, it was awful.
It was like right out of a horror movie.
Yeah,
And in that the collection of watches.
yeah. She's like keeping mementos from the people she takes out.
Yeah. And so I was kind of wondering if maybe one of those might have been Evie's husbands.
Maybe she is serial. That's a serial killer. That's what a serial killer does, isn't
I
it? Like,
know.
oh, let me keep these watches from everybody I killed.
Well, and then it kind of makes you kind of wonder though, did she go crazy because she was down there alone for as long as she was? Or
Mm,
was she like this
before,
before?
you never know who you're talking to online. You
Right.
never know. She could have been.
For
I don't
all we
know.
know, that watch collection could have started before the apocalypse.
Yeah, I think she said though, like the first guy who got in
Mhm.
was like not nice. So she took him out and then took
Right.
the watch. So but I don't know. What would okay, so let's say you had a bunker and the end of the world came.
Mhm.
Would you let people come if they came a knocking, or would you do like her and just turn up the music and ignore them?
I gotta tell you, I would have been in that bunker alone to begin with.
Mhm.
I mean, unless some terrible, chain of events. If I had a bunker like that, there would be a group of people that would have been there with. I would have planned for them to be there with me.
Yeah.
And one, because what is the point of survival if you're the only one?
Mhm.
And two, you can't stay alone with no other alive contact. and not expect to lose your mind.
Yeah, you'll go a little crazy. Although both of them tried to keep routines, right? Like when he
Hmm.
busted in, she was like, "Oh, it's a leg day." I
Yeah,
was doing working out, and
yeah.
he was working out. He was lifting, pumping weights, and
Hmm.
he had
Watching
his
this,
routine.
he had the same um,
Games on.
game that he watched all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you again, if I was a prepper like that, I would have had more than one tape.
I would have had a bunch of DVDs down there or something like.
You think?
Yeah,
You know, um, but I mean, he was very. I mean, you could when he left his place, you could see he still had a lot of food.
yeah,
Of course, it was only. I mean, as near as I can figure, it's about a year and a half or so from the end of civilization. So it's not like it's like 10 years in or anything. This is pretty early on in the pandemic. But I mean, he
yeah.
still had years worth of food in there.
Absolutely. He could have been there for a long time. And
Hmm.
so could Evie. She was perfectly fine where she was, but they both
Hmm.
decided to just leave out anyway.
I gotta tell you, um, after they killed the crazy lady, all I could think of is, why didn't you just keep the place?
I know.
It's
That would have been
nice.
smart. Yeah.
They could have chopped her in the head and thrown her out, cleaned up the blood. And, I mean, because that was a really nice bunker. I mean, that's one of the nicer ones. Um,
Yeah.
then again, I guess they could have gone back to Evie's farm.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
could have. Well, her farm in Ohio or was
Yeah,
it in Michigan?
Ohio.
Okay. Yeah, they could have made it back. Well,
Yeah.
after the bike was stolen.
Although they might, I mean, it's possible they could find that bike again because as soon as that guy turns it off, he won't be able to turn it back on again.
I know, that was so crazy, and the minute he got off that bike, I'm
I'm
like,
like, turn it off!
"Why?"
Turn
I
it off!
know. "Don't walk away from the bike, are you crazy?" And he did it. I'm like, "Oh, of course."
And I knew the minute he walked away, I was waiting for it was going to get stolen. You knew it was going to get stolen.
Mhm.
I mean, that was, but I mean, I guess part of it too, though, is I mean, neither him nor Evie really were a part of the downfall. I mean, in a way, they were both prepared, or at least more prepared for it than most people were. They
Yeah,
were in secluded locations. She had a sustainable, garden thing going on, and that was away from other people. It was out in the middle of nowhere. Um, so I mean, it's they were lucky. Both of them were lucky.
right.
Well, she
Yeah.
was more lucky. He prepared for it, but you know what I
Right.
mean.
Yeah, she just had blind luck. She's just like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I just was being out here, living off the earth, being organic, and surprise, I'm ready."
Right. She's like, oh, you can live here for years. And I mean, so in a way, her place is actually a little more, would
Homey,
make more
probably.
sense because it's
Yeah.
sustainable, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm. Because
But
when he runs out unless
yeah,
yeah.
and they have a goat, so now they can make cheese.
Oh my gosh, right? Because he's talking about eating the goat, and she's like, "No."
We have cheese.
Oh my god. Uh, and actually, honestly, I think Olivia Munn was the perfect person to play this type of character.
Hmm.
Although I couldn't stop looking at how her face has been changed from all her plastic surgery. Could you
Yeah.
tell?
I, I think I didn't actually recognize her.
Oh, because she looks a lot different.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Like, well,
So
oh
I
yeah,
guess,
that's her.
yeah. But
Mhm.
I mean, I really kind of the whole when Evie was down there sitting on the couch. Oh, here, have a brownie. You know,
Oh.
you know,
Oh, and the funny thing is
and I knew. I'm like, oh
yeah.
no, she's a stoner, man. She has to know what's in that brownie,
Oh, she definitely does, and
and
she
she
could taste
did.
it right away. She
Yeah,
knew.
it's not nice to drug people without telling them.
No.
You know,
I mean, honestly, she probably could have smelled it before she even took her first bite. As soon as she put it to her face, she could probably smell it.
and it also depends on what was in there. It
Yeah.
was way more than pot, though. Yeah.
Oh, I know how quickly, Joe went down. Like, that was
Mhm.
real fast. I'm like,
Well,
there
and
had to been something
and
else.
I'm pretty sure it's probably mushrooms or
Mhm.
something similar, because of the psychedelic effect.
Mhm.
Um, so, but
She's
yeah,
like, "Come on in, eat this brownie, and then I'm gonna kill you."
that's right.
Oh my god.
And
Oh,
and I guess, I mean, I don't know. I guess if someone had traveled across the country to just make sure I was okay,
yeah.
I think I would have at least tried to give them the benefit of a doubt. But that I honestly think it was a combination of bad people and her long confinement by herself.
Yeah, I think so, but she could have given him at least a half a chance if she had locked him up for one night. She
Yeah.
would have seen he wasn't crazy. All she had to do was give him half a chance.
Yeah. Oh, I know, and I agree with you. But then again, I mean, it's a one story anthology, so they did have to, you know,
Wrap it up.
wrap it up, so,
Yes.
and I get that. So, and I really, someone that has gone that far over to the dark side, I don't know that, you know, there was a lot of saving her anymore,
Yeah, I
which
agree.
is
She was
sad.
gone. She was gone. Which is why she deserved to die, and I was cool with it.
Now, and it's weird though because we have met other characters that have stayed in confinement for long periods of time. Morgan is
Mhm.
one of them that's been
Mhm.
alone for long periods of time. And Carol has been alone for long periods of time.
Yes.
Each for their own reasons, but they never. I don't know. I guess they never gave in to their inner demons, and maybe it helped that they weren't confined, into a very small space.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to think I would be fine alone, but I think just how we as humans work, it would just take a toll on you eventually.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I can go for long periods of time being by myself. I don't mind my own company. I
Right.
can keep myself entertained,
Yeah.
doing things. But eventually you want to share, your day with somebody. You want to, share a discovery, share a moment. And when there's nobody there to share it with, I mean, that could be, yeah, I think that's the part where you start to really turn inwardly, and that's not always a good thing. I
Like,
I
let's
don't
think of Princess. Like, remember she was using mannequins and talking to
Yeah.
mannequins?
Yeah, see? There's another
Yeah.
one that had been alone for a very long time,
Yeah. So,
you know?
yeah, you need something,
Right,
somebody.
and but I think that's kind of why I was wondering if maybe, Doll Lady was, maybe she just hadn't been that much of a good person to begin with,
Mm.
you know? Maybe she hadn't killed anybody, but, something tells me she probably had Karen attached to her name at least once.
I know, she probably had a couple screws that were loose already,
Yeah.
and then they fell out all the way. She went nuts. I mean,
Mhm. You
wow.
know, and I guess, you become when you're alone, I guess with no other inhibitions, you become your truest self.
Mhm.
And in some cases, that's not such a pretty picture.
Yeah. And I guess, it comes full circle because, when Evie came back and Joe finally, she saved him, and
Mhm.
he thanks her. Thank you for coming back.
Right.
And then they have this whole start now, right? We're
Mhm.
going to have this life. I'm a person. Let's just skip off into the sunset with our lamb
Yeah.
and be happy.
And because I think part of it is I guess maybe looking at the doll lady, whatever what was her name? Darla or something?
I
Linda?
don't know.
Linda?
Something. Oh, Linda does sound right, but I don't know if it is for sure.
Yeah. But she was just like, I can't believe you came to see me. And I think there was these little, this through this whole trip, he kind of realized I don't have a life. I don't have
Mhm.
friends. I'm traveling across the country to find out if someone is okay that I've never met. I
Yeah.
wherever he was at, I mean, his first thought wasn't, I'm going to go look for family. It wasn't, my my drinking buddies or anything. I mean, it was this woman across the country that he had never actually met except to talk to online.
Yeah.
And I think, and I think he begins to realize the emptiness. He had survived, he was a survivor, but that survival came at a
A
big cost
price.
of everything else in his life.
Yeah, there's kind of a price no matter what you do. I guess you have to choose your poison, right?
Right.
Like,
You
it's a
know,
risk.
right. And then Evie, on the other hand, he was all inwardly focused and
Mhm.
survival and everything else. And here's Evie going, I'm just gonna go and pottery, macrame. She flitters
Mm,
all over the place,
I
learning
just,
these new
have
skills.
a whole bunch of pot plants because I like growing and
Yeah.
doing things. Like, "Okay, girl."
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
you,
honestly, she wouldn't be the worst person to come across and befriend, especially since she hates guns and the gun wasn't even loaded. I'm
I
like, "Oh
know.
my god."
I didn't think it was, but
No, me neither.
I mean, I figured one of two things. Either it wasn't loaded because she chose not to, or it's been a year and a half. It's very possible she's out of bullets,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but yeah, I mean she and I really did like that whole thing, before before this all happened, everyone's telling me that I had no focus, I had no center, that I was wasting my life, and here I am, and they're all gone.
Yeah, I mean, she was one of those people that flitters around, doesn't really know what they want. Let me try this, let me try that,
Hmm.
And, in the real world when the world is normal, I mean, all those little quirky things that she was learning doesn't really do much.
Right. Because what, they're not monetized. They're not,
Right.
they don't have monet. Unfortunately, in this on this side of the apocalypse, if it doesn't have monetary value attached to it, why do it? You
Exactly. You
know,
need money, at least in this side. Like you said, this
yeah,
side of the coin, you need money. So,
right. And so I mean, in some ways, and I've said this before throughout the whole time. In some ways, it, this collapse of civilization, while terrible, is also for those who survive probably freeing.
mhm.
There's no debt collectors calling. There's
Right.
no worrying about the electric bill. There's the very art of things that we don't have a lot of control over in our lives, um right now in modern society, that bring on a lot of depression, anxiety, stress, are gone. I mean, it's not that they can't starve and so on and so forth, but those are when things become more immediate,
Mhm.
and the a lot of the artificial stressors we have in our life are just gone. And once again, there is this value in making things, creating things, preserving things,
Right.
singing, dancing, and cooking, and all these things become important again.
Yeah,
you know
definitely.
and so yeah, while it would be terrible, I don't want to live in a post-apocalyptic society, don't get me wrong. um but there are some upsides to it.
I like life's little luxuries. I would prefer not to have to murder people and
Yeah.
search for food.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I like
Yeah.
TV. you know
Right.
I like my car, I like going on vacation and stuff, but I mean, again, there is something to be said that basic things have value again. Again, the ability to make things, create things, um being judged on your skills and your merits as opposed to your credit score.
Mhm.
There's something to be said about that. It has there is an appeal to that, and I think that's part of the appeal for these preppers, is the fact that that you're moving past this that we're living in.
Right. Right. So, I have to know. So, if you were to rate this, because none of these episodes are connected in any kind of way, y'all. It's
Right.
anthology style. So, do you think this was a successful episode?
I think so.
Mhm.
I Like I said, I enjoyed it. I mean, I got a couple giggles out of it. I was I liked the characters. I found
Mhm.
them interesting. I mean, even Crazy Karen, I found her rather interesting. Um,
Right. Oh, which
she
I
was
figured out her name was Sandra.
Sandra.
Yeah.
Okay, Crazy. I like Crazy Karen.
I know it
Um,
fits though. It fits.
but I mean, they were. There was. For the fact that it was just this one episode introduction. I mean, they were very well introduced to us.
Yeah.
We they were able to kind of hand us these characters wholesale, and it wasn't. I don't think anything was lost in translation.
Yeah,
At least I don't
definitely.
think so. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like that it was a straightforward story, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And again, it's time is limited, so you really don't have a whole lot of time to be playing around with stuff, but
Right.
a beginning, middle, and end, it had a point, right?
Yeah.
We just wasn't killing, we had a point to everything. And it had a little touch, feelies at the end,
Yeah.
So it was a nice little package.
I thought so. And I mean, they got to wander off into the sunset with their goat,
Yeah.
Skipper. And
Yes.
I remember the goat's name. I remember the dog's name. I guess there's something wrong with me.
No, you
Um,
just like animals. It's cool.
yeah.
But what I did find interesting is I was looking on tvline.com and they always have people grade the episodes. They
Hmm.
have a poll and it looks like it's pretty evenly split among 75% of viewers between it being excellent, above average, and just okay. So it's almost a pretty even split among 75% of the viewers. So
Okay.
just interesting to see how, on average, it seems like people are enjoying it thus far versus
Hmm.
hating on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I gotta tell you, like when we that first episode we watched of World Beyond,
Mhm.
you and I are kind of looking at each other, going, "Seriously?
Yeah, I don't know about this.
I don't know about this," and it never
Right.
got any better. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and I mean, even honestly, the first 4 seasons of Fear the Walking Dead. Oh no, mm-mm. But I thought the writing was really good. The characters were compelling, and it was this fun little window into outside of our main groups and everything. This was just these two people,
Yeah.
you know, and there wasn't high drama or anything to it. I mean, aside from maybe the hatchet scene with Crazy Karen, but I know you told me what her name is. It doesn't matter now. I've renamed her.
You've renamed her. I love it. It's great. Crazy Karen is her name.
And but I mean, it was nice to have this complete story arc, in
Mhm.
an hour.
Yeah,
I liked it. It was
definitely.
refreshing. At least I thought so.
I thought so too. I think it's a nice little way to break up, 6 weeks. I think we only get 6 of these
Mm-hmm.
before we jump it back into The Walking Dead, the final arc of The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to it. I saw the preview for next week's. I'm like, that looks wild and rowdy. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did with the office manager and
Yes. I'm like,
just
oh,
stay calm.
I'm like, that looks like it's gonna be a wild ride, a bunch of panic and hysteria.
She might be called Karen too by the end of next
I,
episode.
I wouldn't be surprised. She was acting like a Karen. Look like,
I just, and what I think the one thing that like they showed in this one, and what I kind of got from the next episode was that they really haven't addressed very much in any of the other ones are the privileged.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Crazy Karen is in her bunker. She obviously had money. I mean, that was
Yes,
a really nice bunker.
yes,
With the lights and all of it. It was a very nice little locale.
mm-hmm,
Um, and so and then this next one with the office manager woman, and her stole and everything. Again, I think we're going to get a lot of Karens.
yeah. And I'm not mad at it because I'm sure they'll be the ones all dying. So it's
Yeah.
great.
Well, and because again, we really because the episodic, the ones that they want to go on for, season after season, they don't really have a lot of these characters, especially at the beginning. They really didn't introduce a lot of extraneous characters that were just there to die.
Right.
They did have them, don't get me wrong, but like I said, they really didn't touch on, like, how the privileged were being affected by this.
True.
And this very first episode with Crazy Karen in her bunker, she was obviously someone who was privileged.
Right. Like, even I think with this, anthology type style, we're going to not only see the privilege, but we're going to see a variation of times in the apocalypse. Like,
Yeah.
this one is like, clearly it was the beginning, but not the very beginning. It
Right.
was like, a couple years in probably. But
Right.
next week, it looks like the beginning. Everyone's losing their minds.
Right.
And it's going to be interesting to see, like, what happens in different environments when all hell breaks loose and the
Right.
world changes. So,
and I like, and I do like that idea of having these different characters come on, and in these 6 episodes, so we can kind of get a picture of what it was like for people outside of our main groups.
yes.
And how it affected other parts of the country, because we really haven't at any point in any of the Walking Dead series have we really gone north.
No.
Yeah. And they came across the middle of Illinois and stuff, in Iowa, but that's about as far north as we've really seen. So it was kind of fun to see them, a little further up, and some different scenery, and I like the little, I like the encapsulated stories. I think I like them.
Me too.
And way better than the submarine story.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh.
So much better.
I mean, because at least they, in one episode, you can keep it consistent, right? Like, let's keep it tight. And that's what they did. So congrats to them on that. Just keep it up. Like, you got 5 more episodes to get. I was like not sure what to expect personally, but I was just trying to go into it with a positive outlook.
Me
And
too.
so far I'm feeling good about it because I really want to like finish this last part of The Walking Dead with like high feel, like I want to feel like a lift, like, oh, that was really good.
Yeah.
And this is a good way to slide us into that, I think.
And I hope they kind of keep that mix of some humor, and lightness, along with the heaviness of the subject matter. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I got to tell you, the previews they showed for next week, even while they're fighting, I was giggling a little bit because I'm going, oh God, this is
it looks crazy. It looks funny.
Yeah, it really does.
Yes.
So I'm really looking forward to watching this next episode. I really am. I'll tell you what, guys, because again, got AMC Plus here. She does too. It took everything I had not to watch the next one.
I know. I'm sitting there looking at it. You know how like it's gonna start if you don't press stop?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, and I just pressed stop. I was so close. It was gonna happen.
I could just pretend it was an accident. And I mean, it doesn't matter because we're not making predictions on the next, because
you
obviously
can't with anthology.
Yeah, with an anthology, but I didn't. We're we must maintain discipline.
Yes. We did it. We did it.
Yeah.
But because the episode is it looks good, I might just watch it when we're done here today. I don't know if I can wait another 5 days.
Well, I've got to wait till Monday, so I'll be watching it shortly before we record.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I'm excited. So, should we talk about anything else? Do you want to talk about any of the world stuff that we've heard about over the summer?
Yeah, I mean, so we found out that the Rick and Michonne offshoot is not just going to be like a one-off. They're actually planning on doing several seasons of it.
So what do you think about that, right? Like, without knowing what it's going to look like, you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
Depends on how they set it up.
I think it's a bad thing. Because this is why. So I think it would have been great to have a limited series and just tell an isolated story of what happened to Rick and how Michonne found him, right? and how they move forward. You could do that in one limited series.
Yeah.
But keep having it go on and on and on. I'm like, I think it's going to be one of those things that gets lost. Like the power of it gets lost from them trying to drag out seasons, because I don't think they know how to plot for long-term
Yeah.
seasons.
Now, I heard, and this is more rumor than fact, that the first season is going to be basically flipping back and forth between Michonne looking for Rick and what happened to Rick, and they're not actually going to meet until the end of the season.
Okay, so they're going to drag. So we're going to go back and just watch them separately for a long time, possibly. And then they have some kind of reunion, and then what? Escape from where he is, maybe? I don't know. There's a lot of
Something,
options.
and then the following, and then the next season is going to be basically the reconnection of Rick and Michonne.
See, this is the thing. No matter what they do, okay, so both of these actors are very well, especially the woman who plays Michonne. She's
Mhm.
got jobs, right?
Right.
The Walking Dead is not her only gig.
Right.
And I don't know about the guy that plays Rick, but he got tired. That's what
Mhm.
it is. He got tired and wanted to go home.
Mhm.
That's how he walked away. And I'm like, how long do you think that this set of actors, knowing how they were before, is going to stick around for multiple seasons? I just
Yeah.
hope whatever they do, it's well plotted and it is wrapped up before either one of these actors want to bounce again.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't mind if it was just 2 seasons. A,
Mm-hmm.
a 2 season, kind of like they did with World Beyond. It's only going to be 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Just write it better than that.
Right.
Something like that. Now that I think would actually be really good because it
Yeah.
confines them to a very specific story arc. It's
Yes.
not open ended, and that's what I'm kind of hoping is what they're going to end up doing. But I guess we're gonna see.
I know. I could deal with that. I could deal with something like 2 seasons,
Hmm.
where there's a clear beginning, middle, end. I like that,
Hmm.
but I just don't want something open-ended. I really don't. I don't think
Well,
it's gonna work.
and the other thing is if let's say Michonne breaks breaks Rick out of jail, so to speak. Um, there's no way that they're not going back for Judith and
RJ.
RJ.
Yeah.
They there's no way that oh well they're fine. No, they're going back for them.
Right.
And with this with this show ending, they really can't. I mean, I guess they could bring back on RJ and Judith. They could even bring them
Mhm.
back older.
Mhm.
Um, I suppose, but I don't know. I mean, they can only have them out there for so long,
Right. I agree.
because of the
Yeah.
kids.
Right. And I
And
mean, well, it's gonna be curious to see how The Walking Dead wraps this up, right?
mhm,
Because again, they are kids, and if Daryl is leaving,
right,
he's their guardian.
I know,
So, yeah, I'm very curious how I am fearful that I'm not going to be satisfied with the ending, because in one respect, I understand setting up new shows. I get it, right?
hmm,
But on the flip side, what about the longtime viewers that don't have interest in watching the other show? They get no satisfaction out of that end,
right,
because everything is all over the place. Everyone is walking off into some kind of sunset or something. You know what I mean?
right.
Like, I don't know.
I mean, um the guy that plays Daryl. He did say, "Oh, I think you're gonna be really happy with the." I've heard from several different of the actors. You're gonna be happy. It's gonna be a satisfying ending, and I really hope that's true.
Me too. After all this time, I need it. I need a satisfying ending, even moving forward with other shows.
Right.
I want it. That's 10 seasons, 10 years of watching this. Like, come on. Do
Yeah.
not play me in the final part, you
Right.
know?
Well, and it's interesting too because again they've got Daryl splitting off, and like you said, he's the guardian to these
Mhm.
children, and but he somehow ends up in France, And then
Right.
we've got Negan and
Maggie.
Maggie
Mm-hmm.
taking off, and again, Maggie's leaving her son behind.
Yes.
And then we've got Michonne and Rick, that once they find each other, that, I mean, as a parent, you would have to beeline back to your kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know,
So, yeah, they have to bring them back at some point because that's how it has to conclude a family reuniting. And if it doesn't, that's going to be whack.
right. Because again, because what are they going to do? Look at each other? Well, they're probably dead anyway. I mean, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Because if they don't go back from, that's it. Oh, they must be dead anyway. Or I guess they could, I don't know, pick some really unlikely scenario. Well, we can't go back because they don't know about the group yet. Oh, they know about the group.
Absolutely.
Because,
Yeah.
At this point, their group is connected to the Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth is way too big for the, what do you call it, not to notice.
Yeah. What are they called again? Oh my gosh.
It's
I'm
not a
having a
dog's name. I don't know. CRM.
CRM. Yes. I'm like, there it is.
There we are. But yeah, the Commonwealth is way too big for the CRM not to have noticed.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree.
The CRM knows about Morgan's group, for God's sakes.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're a blip on the radar.
Exactly. They're a blip. There's no way they could not have noticed the Commonwealth.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, because the CRM was connected to World Beyond, and they're the one that gave us this kind of hint to a little bit to Rick, but also over to France, and that's where Daryl's going.
Oh my God. Please don't be stupid. Please don't let that show be stupid. What is he suddenly going to be speaking French to people or something? Like, how is this going to work?
I have no idea.
Oh my gosh.
I have no idea.
I am like such a skeptic now with like these spin-offs. It's not even funny. Because I have a problem if they attempt to get Negan and Maggie together. I got a big problem.
I don't think that's in the cards.
I hope not. I hope not. But you know how this certain segments of this fan base are crazy.
That's
There's
true.
a group out there already rooting for it. I'm like, are y'all
No.
delirious? Like, did you forget what happened?
And I guess, it is upsetting at times. Can't they just be friends? I mean, not necessarily Megan and Negan, but like Carol and Daryl, can't they just be friends?
Yes,
Can't
they
they
can
just
be
be good
friends.
friends?
Yeah.
I
can be
have
family.
I have, my oldest friend, is a guy, and that's it. We're friends.
Right.
Can't you just be friends?
Yes. It's possible, but like for some reason, it's like these groups of people want to act like this is a soap opera where everyone ends up with each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Like why are they like standing these couples that aren't couples? Like just stop it.
Right.
It's so furious
And a
to
lot of
me.
times you'll see shows where, they have the non-couple, through the whole thing, and then finally, oh, they had their moment and they fall in love or whatever.
And when
And
that happens, guess what?
and
The
the,
show ends.
and the show ends. It's done.
Yes.
It's not any fun anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Sometimes it's just nice to have this nice to have a friendship that's a little antagonistic, very but supportive, and but that sees you in your good and bad and is just there. I wish they would portray that more for men and women.
Yes.
And it not
I
have it to
agree.
always have to have this romantic overtone or undertone.
Right.
You can just be friends.
Yeah.
And and honestly, when it comes to Maggie and Negan, them even just being friends is a stretch.
I mean, them being allies is the biggest thing I think we can hope for them is to just
Right.
be on the same side. Because even though, yes, Negan has started to make amends by saving her son multiple
Hmm.
times, but still, you murdered her husband. Like, can she ever be real friends with you? She's always going to look at you
Yeah.
sideways.
Well, I mean, it wasn't, he murdered her husband in front of her,
Right.
and then, I mean, he basically, threatened, harassed, intimidated, and then she had, and basically was alluding to he was going to steal her child,
Right.
you know, and so she had to hide, the kept calling her the widow, and and making, you know, um, overtures about, once the baby's born.
Oh God, right? Ugh.
And and that's why Maggie ended up, that's part of the reason Maggie left.
Because she wanted him dead. She didn't want him be imprisoned. She wanted him dead.
Yeah. And I mean, so this wasn't, there is a lot of, it wasn't just the one thing. I mean, this was, years of antagonism towards each other.
Yes.
So, I mean, again, Friends is going to be a stretch.
And people are acting like they have a very short memory and they are acting like Negan killed her puppy or something. Like, that is not how it wasn't that simple.
No.
People have a real short memory.
Yeah. I mean,
Unbelievable.
but they, there's, they've done this before, on different shows as if, well, yeah, you killed the person I love, but I guess I can forgive you and we can be a couple. No,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, I suppose there's a case to be said that if you accidentally killed, that person, it wasn't intentional. It was an oopsie, that's different, but there was nothing oopsie about what Negan did.
No, that was 100% intentional. As
Yeah.
he has re-emphasized in later episodes, he's like, "Yeah, I did it. Yeah, I knew what I was doing." He
Hmm.
was pretty blatant about it. Like when they were in those tunnels, um,
Yeah.
going back to Maggie's home base. Oh, he was pretty like blatantly saying, "Yeah, and."
Yeah.
Like, dang. I mean, yeah, just everyone take a chill pill. Everybody let it go. Because I know they were also out equally obnoxious about Carol and Daryl. And you
Right.
remember when Carol decided that character, Melissa McBride, decided not to do that show,
Hmm.
people were acting like they lost their minds.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed. I thought, I would have liked to have seen a show with Carol and Daryl because I like the way they play off of each other. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but was I upset? Was I angry at her? No. You know,
Right.
and in and of course, when the original show was supposed to be, was originally announced, they were going to do it in Georgia. Um, and then they moved it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, over to Europe, and she's just like, I can't, because she knows,
Yeah.
basically what happened to, Rick's character. He's from England. His family was there, and
Yeah, Andrew Lincoln was like, "Peace out. I
yeah,
need to go home for a little while."
I need to go home.
Yeah,
And Andrew's, or not Andrew, but Melissa McBride. I mean, she's got her family, and she's got, it's not like she doesn't have any other, opportunities to continue acting.
right.
You know, and she still has her contract.
Right.
They're obligated to pay her whether she does it or not.
Honestly, she could show up somewhere else, you
Right.
know?
They could put her, they could have her, end up, in New York with Maggie and Negan.
Right.
She could end up on one of the spin-offs.
You know what? I'm not even being funny. If she ended up with Maggie and Negan, that would be way more interesting to me. And then Daryl's show would be in danger of me not caring because I'm like, how are you going to make this interesting to me? Because I know everyone loves Daryl's character, but I think everyone loves that character in context with how he is with other characters.
Right.
I don't know if he could just carry a show personally. I don't know that. I'm not confident
Yeah.
of that.
Now I do know they're giving him people. It's not just going to be him.
Yeah.
they're gonna, he's gonna have
But
a
he's the
group,
lead, though.
but
He's
he's
the
the
lead.
lead.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's really gonna come down to who the other supporting actors,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. True. Ugh. So with all of that, it's like,
They could even send her over to Morgan's show.
yeah, they could.
They
I
could.
think she would be good on that show.
I think so. Because her and Morgan have a really interesting relationship with each other.
And she'd have to offset what's her face that you hate.
Oh, why'd you even have to bring her up? I was like, I've forgotten all about her.
Because she will be there when the season starts.
Oh, now I'm just all upset again.
I
Why'd they have to
know.
bring her back?
I know.
Okay,
I think it's ridiculous, honestly. I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
just let her be dead, man. She was better off dead.
Oh my God, let
And I
me
know
look up her
I know
name.
that they're Rabbit fans that just absolutely loved her.
Madison. Ugh.
Madison, that loved Madison, loved her. I don't understand it. Oh God, she just drove me nuts.
I know.
I would really like to see Carol smack her around a little bit.
And that would happen. I could see it because both of them are very strong-willed, outspoken, like
Yep.
type of characters. So I don't know. There's so much going on in this world, and it's totally murky to me. Like we're making a lot of guesses as
Oh yeah,
far as what could
it's
happen.
it's all guessing.
Yeah, it's all guesses.
So, and part of it is I mean we never got the payoff with World Beyond. We were promised this big payoff. There's no payoff. They kept kind of teasing that Rick was going to show up, or there was going to be all this or that, and really it was Jadis showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And while I did like Jadis's character when she was on The Walking Dead, I can't say that I cared much for her character on World Beyond.
I agree. It was okay to see her, but I wasn't like thrilled by it. I mean,
Right.
it was fine, right?
It was fine, and, but so yeah, I mean, so we've got all these things going on, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm kind of liking the anthology, because they're just little episodes.
There's no expectation.
There's no expectation.
Mm-hmm.
So if one of the shows is not to my taste, it doesn't mean I'm going to hate the whole thing, because I may like the other 5.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
yeah. Well, with so much going on, I just hope that we finish The Walking Dead strong. Like I want that so bad. Like in my bones, I want that. I want a strong finish. And the rest will be what will be, right? Que sera, sera, as they say, right?
I guess. Well, I mean, they really did have a good, middle season,
Mm-hmm.
So as long as they keep that up, I think we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And I really hope that, when we finally get back to Fear the Walking Dead, that we can finally get out of this stupid nuclear holocaust.
I know. Oh my gosh. We kept saying, please jump us out of this, but it's clearly didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, that was honestly the last season for Fear the Walking Dead was probably one of the worst.
Yeah.
That they've had in, since the last time Madison was on.
I know. I know. Yeah, this past season really it sucked. I did not enjoy it at all.
I didn't like any of it.
No.
I mean, I was pretty mean. I nitpicked. Oh God, I nitpicked. I know I did.
Complained every week.
It was bad.
About that show.
It was bad. I didn't want to.
I know. Like we tried, but it just sounded like we hate the show. It sounded like that. I know it did.
And it's not that I don't. They really jumped the shark with the nuclear explosion, because and I've even read and watched some interviews and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, we just thought it'd be a good idea, but when they threw it out there, they had no plan. it was just this off the cuff thing. Oh, wouldn't it be interesting if, you know?
Stupid. That was dumb.
And it was just dumb because, I mean, they were already, on the ragged edge of survival,
Mm-hmm.
and then they, drop this on them is, to add insult to injury to all the
Right.
characters,
Yeah.
but then the fact that there's no rhyme or reason to any of it.
Yeah.
Not where the radiation is, not how it affects people, not what it does to people, you know, we got one character that's exposed for an hour and she's dying,
Oh my God. Right.
and we've got another one that's just out there wandering around forever and is just fine,
I
you know.
know. I know. The reason is gone. Like all of it's like it's all over the place. It just doesn't make sense, and they just want you to just accept it. Just accept
Right.
it.
And I'm like, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's still going back to, what are they feeding the fucking horses? Yeah.
The horses aren't affected. Didn't you know? They're exempt. They're
Yeah.
exempt.
It's not exactly how. I mean, there really should be way. I mean, those horses should look, no,
There should be zombie horses walking around.
Well, I mean, have you ever seen pictures of the animals from Chernobyl?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what those horses should look like.
Yeah. Yep. You're right.
So,
But nope.
it's not like they don't have like an actual, where they could base some of this on. Chernobyl melting down that whole area, how has it affected the plant life, the animals and everything else. They have. It's right there. It's a source. You look it up on Wikipedia, man.
I
You
know. I
they
mean, that
couldn't be
just takes
bothered.
a little thoughtfulness, but really they just want to just make up whatever story they want to make up and be done with it.
Yeah. They've
They're
got
not
people writing
incorporating
through.
anything.
Yeah, they've got people writing through deadly radiation on horses, and the horses are completely unaffected. And it's not like they put masks or anything on these horses to, to save them. They have no protective gear. It'd be like us walking around naked in radiation and nothing happening to us.
Well, I mean, off and on this whole season, even outside of the horses, taking on and off the mask
Hmm.
incessantly, riding around in a car with like a plastic barely being held down on the outside of the car. Like, is that
Yeah,
supposed to protect you? Like, what is happening? Like, it's all over
yeah.
the place. So,
And then and him even going, oh look, I sealed it all up. Yeah,
right,
except you opened the doors, which let the radiation in. Duh.
right,
You have vents. It has vents.
right.
I don't think you understand how cars work.
No, they
Uh,
don't. They don't know how radiation works, apparently.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. The whole thing was just, it was stupid.
I know.
I mean, if
So,
they
I
had given
guess
him a tank, a tank would have been a little more reasonable.
now, you know what will be funny is that when the next season starts, since they'll be oh so concerned with getting back Mo,
Uh
and
huh.
figuring out where they are, if suddenly it's like the radiation and the whole bomb just never happens. Like, how if you just forget about it,
Yeah.
they want the audience to forget about it. Like, it's never going to be a problem again. They just stop talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, because technically the area that they're at right now is, I mean, there's still some radiation, but it's not a hot zone.
Right.
So, and yeah, and they're going out to a ship.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So they
I
could just leave it in the dust and never address it again.
I guess.
I'm guaranteeing you that is what's going to happen. They are never going to bring it up again. Like it was a bad memory or a dream. It didn't happen.
I don't know. All I do well, and with this whole gathering of the children, they were talking. Madison was talking a little bit about their not indoctrination.
Yeah.
So that they wouldn't have familial bonds and wouldn't have. I'm like, oh God, now we're just gonna have like children of the corn or something.
I know. It's going to be crazy.
It's gonna be weird.
Yeah.
Not to mention all the children they used to have with them.
That
Where'd they
just
all go?
disappeared. They just
They were all
melted.
gone.
They melted into the background. I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe I don't who knows what happened to them.
You know. So I don't know. It's they I really do hope with these new shows they don't they don't have the lack of foresight that has really plagued, you know, Fear the Walking Dead,
Right. I
you
agree.
know, or the bad writing of The World Beyond.
I know. And I think it also will rely heavily on who the showrunner is.
Hmm.
And I don't know who the showrunners are for two of the shows, but I thought Gimple was the showrunner for the um Rick and Michonne
Okay.
show. And
That's
people had problems with Gimple. He caused a lot of the problems that we're now having to course correct and deal with.
right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, they should just they need to bring in some new people. You know, people that are familiar with the show, you know, that have enjoyed the show and really, you know, bring it back from the dead.
Cause
Play on
we're
words
like
there.
completely off the rails with the comics now.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's over. Like
Uh-huh.
there's no more comparison to that, really.
And so I mean they can do whatever they want, but
Yeah.
you know, apparently they don't know what they want to do.
Which is a problem. That's why I stand by a lot of franchises could stand to take notes from the Marvel team, like Kevin Feige. They could all learn something from him because he has plotted his ass off for years and years. And even
Hmm.
when he shows for the stuff coming for the next several chapters of that
Hmm.
universe, they have plotted years ahead before
Hmm.
they even start recording.
Yeah.
And
You
that
know,
is why
phase one, two,
everything
three, four.
yeah, right, that
You
is
know,
why everything makes sense. Nothing is jump the shark. Nothing is crazy. Like everything fits like a puzzle. And
right?
a
Because it's
lot of
supposed to.
right, and a lot of like these universe style shows where they want to make this vast, huge world could stand to learn a thing or two.
You know, they could take a couple of hints from like Stephen King.
Or yeah, or him.
You know, because I mean, all of his books, all of them, technically interact with each other.
Right.
There's you know pieces of you know even all of his standalone books even have bits and pieces that can be found in other books. There's always this connective tissue between them, and you can
Mm-hmm.
find it. Um,
Right.
I once saw a poster of all the interconnections. I really wanted it, but I mean, it was insane. The you know how things connected.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, they can do this with The Walking Dead, even without you know the overriding you know source material being available anymore.
Right.
You know, there's nothing to stop them from plotting their own course and literally plotting it. And
Instead
I
of
hope,
like they're like swinging by the seat of their pants on this stuff, it seems
hmm
like.
you know, so and I really think there needs to be more conversations between the different shows.
Mhm.
You know, since they're all you know in the same world and everything else, they need to have that interconnectedness to them at least on a at least on the surface level.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I
Mm.
guess we're gonna find out.
We will see. You guys, if you've heard anything that you think we should know about these shows, if you got a ear to the ground or you got like, some inside knowledge on, stuff, let us know. I'm curious. I am curious.
I
Um
am too.
yeah, like what's coming? Give me a heads up because we're just sitting here waiting, like crossing our fingers.
That's right. Looking forward to watching the next episode on the anthology. You know.
Yes, exactly. I think we're done today. What do you think, Lisa?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Well, it's been a great conversation. If you're still listening to the sound of my voice, thank you for listening to the whole episode. We appreciate you for doing that. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening and hit that like button before you leave. And that's it. Until next time, happy viewing, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.